3, 2, 1. Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I got into this situation. Well, it all started when we started a podcast called Sardonicast. Hey, everybody, we're Sardonicast.
That was awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, good job.
I'm Adum from Your Movie Sucks.
Okay, Ralph. I'm Alex from I Hear Everything.
I'm Ralph from youtube.com/Ralph. Oh wait.
Oh wait.
Yeah,
I think we should
bro.
change the name to Rip the Movie Maker.
Oh, nice
Ouch.
one.
Nice.
Ouch.
Ralph's dying.
I have cancer, so I'm ending my YouTube channel.
Jesus Christ.
It's good because I mean you gave a lot of other people cancer too. So I mean now.
Yeah. At least I got to spread the love.
So why's that?
Why's what?
Catch people up if they don't know for some reason.
Oh, well, I'm not ending the channel. I'm just not gonna do the Ralph the Movie Maker videos anymore because
The series.
I mean, this series,
Why not?
yes, the most iconic thing. There's my British friend. There's a lot of reasons. I don't know. I don't enjoy doing it anymore. That's the first thing. Like I don't think it's not as fruitful. Like I used to fucking love doing them, and now they're fun. But it's like there's only so many ways I could make an episode, and I'm just like I feel like I want to do something else. You know, I want to do.
That's fair.
Yeah, I want to put my creative energies toward doing something else. Yeah, and I think what I have planned is it's gonna be fucking great. I hope it is, and I'm working on it right now. But
I know exactly how you feel, except what I've done is instead of stopping projects, I just keep adding to the pile.
yeah,
and so like thankfully I found ways for like a lot of the content on my main channel to now be done quicker so that I can fit more things into my schedule. So like the quickies don't take nearly as much time now that I have another editor working for me. But yeah, I know exactly how you feel, but I have not given up on any of my projects yet. And I still do enjoy creating like the longer YMS reviews. They are kind of a pain at the same time, but I do like making them.
I get what you're saying. It's just I'm at a point in my life now where I went to college for a year and I had to make money to support myself. So I did YouTube and I made, a decent amount of money from it. But now I've taken a semester off because I have tons of credits and I'm going to LA in the spring for school. And I just have this free time where I don't really have to make money and I can just do whatever I want. And I want to take that free time in my life to do something, more ambitious. And, I can always go back to Ralph the Movie Maker if I want. Maybe do, who says 2 years from now I want to do another one because there's a movie that's so bad. But I don't want it to be this thing where I'm doing it every month now because it's exhausting. And YouTube clearly doesn't like me. They keep demonetizing all my videos. They keep copyright claiming all of them. The studios do anyway. I get no support from them. It's like, why do I have to put up with this when I don't have to at this moment? You know? And I have the podcast. I have you guys, which is fun. I love doing this. And I hope I'm going to put more, time into doing this because we have some stuff planned. Yeah. We have some stuff up our sleeve regarding this podcast.
Up my sleeves, up my sleeves, up my sleeves, up my sleeves. Anybody listen to Death Grips?
Yes. I love Death Grips.
All right.
Guillotine! Yeah!
That's the popular one.
That's the normal one. that's the only one I know.
I guess I do kind of want to turn this into like a larger discussion because I remember I don't remember if it was on Twitter or not. I think Alex, you said so. I think you actually there was like an interview that you gave where you were talking about like YouTuber fatigue and the need
I feel like I've spoken about it loads of times. Yeah,
the need to kind of like take breaks from what you're doing and especially if your heart's just not in it, like to try and force yourself to do something that you're no longer passionate about that you once were.
So I hate complaining about it because I feel so sort of privileged and like lucky to be able to do what I'm able to do. But what not everyone understands is that there's a ridiculous amount of work that goes into making videos.
Yeah.
You know, the amount of research and writing and editing, like, and a lot of the time it's just one person. Like, Adam's recently hired like some editors, but a lot of YouTubers is just one person. It's a huge amount of work.
Yeah. And I think you're not complaining about how hard YouTube is. You're complaining that this is a creative process where you need to be passionate about what you're making if you want to make something good. And if I'm not passionate about it, the quality of the videos are going to suffer. So would I rather take my time and do something else that is going to be even more entertaining, or just make inferior content, you know? And I just feel like I could do something else right now, and it would be better. Yeah.
See, I have similar thoughts, I guess. Like I haven't I've always kind of felt that what I'm doing, despite it obviously being my choice and despite it being something that I'm still passionate about, I've always considered it to be work. And I've always been a very kind of like workaholic kind of person. So even if I have to like force myself in certain situations, like the most of a hindrance, I guess, that will happen in terms of my creative process will be kind of writer's block. I find the most difficult part about making a video is right before I've recorded anything. So like I've got the video concept, I've looked through all the footage and I've taken notes, but like before I say that first word into a microphone, like I need to know which direction I'm going with the project. Yeah. And I feel like that's the part where I can really get stuck. But if I do get stuck and I'm like, okay, well, I can't, you know, I'm not being productive right now, then I'll move on to another project. They'll be like, okay, there's movies I got to watch for my whatever list, or like I could work on my music right now, or there's some stuff that my editor sent me that I have to look over. Like there's always something that I can do to fill in my time, sort of thing.
Yeah.
I have that too. Where you just have videos on hold for months.
Oh yeah, I'm never bored. That's a plus. You know, there's always something I could be working on. I've thought about the possibility of like, okay, what am I doing in terms of like my long-term goals? And like music is something that I really am super passionate about and that I love doing. And, you know, I think people will get a clearer idea of that once my album's actually out next year. But I have this fear of ever letting go of this main channel, you know, like I don't know if I ever could quit my Patreon. I don't know if I ever could stop making videos in that sense, like, because it's a safety net for me. It's like a lifeline. Like it's the entire reason why I'm able to do these other projects in the first place. And so I have this like apprehension towards even the thought of it, which is partially why I've layered on and piled on so many projects at once, is because like I have the idea of cutting back is a huge thing to consider and a huge leap to be able to even make if I were to make it, which I'm not confident that I would.
It's a hard thing. I mean, I had a hard time just coming to terms with just ending it, you know, ending the series. I enjoyed doing it, and I loved getting recognized on the street. I love having people Photoshop me in front of fucking, like, stupid shit, or Photoshop my face on a dwarves or whatever. But it's, you know, I have to move on. I have to do something else. And I'm young, right? So I can afford to do these things and try different things. Yeah. And, again, I could always want to come back and do a Ralph the Movie Maker review here and there, or do something else. I'll still be making like film-related content on Ralph the Movie Maker, because I love talking about movies I like that Ralph Recommends series. I want to do some stuff with that, talk about movies I like. But I think what I have in the can is going to be better. Yeah, I hope. Yeah. I hope. I think as long as you make quality stuff, I think people will stick around.
I feel like at the very worst case scenario, like if let's say I did depart from doing my film review focused material, or from focusing on my film review material on YouTube, if let's say I wanted to do music full time instead, I think I would still be able to just like sit down in front of a microphone and talk about a movie and send it off to an editor or something. Because like it's I'm not doing my film review channel because it's something that I thought like, oh yeah, I want to do this for work. I'm doing it because I talk about movies anyway. Like, this is stuff that I'm already passionate about. Like,
Yeah. You just put a microphone in front of yourself.
I'm not just going to film festivals because it's part of my job. It's because I want to go to them and I love movies and I love talking about them. And I would always want to share and express my opinion on them. So it's, I don't know how I could ever stop doing that realistically.
Yeah.
Even if I abandoned like the concept of spending months at a time working on a single project just to tear something to shreds, even if I abandoned that format, I could never stop expressing myself about this art form that I love.
And that's more of what this is for me. It's like a format change, kind of, more than me ending. I'm never talking about movies again. Like, I'm not
it's
doing that.
It's better to do it on your own terms as well, though.
Yeah, right.
Like, instead of burning out and resenting it.
Ralph the Movie Maker is now a Fortnite channel.
That's right. I'm going to play Fortnite. I'm going to play Minecraft.
Ralph the Gamer.
The thing with Patreon, I ended my Patreon as well because that's another whole other pressure is that you have to make content for these people who are literally giving you money.
Very bold.
Yeah, and I can't, I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to feel obliged to have to make something incredible every month for people who are giving me money, I don't want that pressure right now.
Yeah.
I'm going to work on something great. It's like this episodic thing I have. And once that comes out, there will be ways to support me financially, sure. But right now, I don't want anyone supporting me financially. I want to do something.
What about if people wanted to support you financially for the type of new content that you were making, but it wasn't necessarily a huge have to make one every month thing, but you were just creating consistent content? Or are you when you say you're departing from your Ralph the Movie Maker series and you're doing other projects, are you doing other projects that are YouTube related? I mean, like... Yes,
I have the Ralph Recommends thing going on Ralph the Movie Maker, but then I'm also making a scripted series. I think it's going to be 6 episodes right now. We have written out 6 episodes, and then I'm thinking we're going to release them, and we kind of do what we did with Sardonicast, where if you want to see it early, you pay, or you support me however much money you want to give me. Because my guess is YouTube ad revenue is not going to be enough to support this 6-episode thing I have planned. But I mean, we'll burn that bridge when we get to it. But right now, I just want to focus on making 6. Yeah, burn it. I just want to focus on making 6 fucking great pieces of content, and then I'll worry about that stuff after. So
I hope it all goes well for you.
Yeah, thank you. Exciting. I hope everything goes well for you too, Adam, and your album.
Oh, thank you. I'd like to play you a song.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
With your recorder right now?
No, but yes, right now.
I was waiting for you to pick up the recorder.
No, I got something else.
Oh, okay.
Everyone salute.
Fuck! I haven't played in a very long time.
That was emotional.
Yeah, that was.
Oh, let's do it again. Yep.
Okay, we're good.
I picture Adam with like a Canadian flag behind him as he's playing that. Just waving in the wind.
The trumpet's one of those instruments where if you don't practice all the time, you lose the muscle in your lips, and it just becomes impossible to sound good if you haven't picked it up in a while. But I felt like your channel deserved a proper send-off, so I'm glad
Thank
to
you.
have
I appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem.
Anyone else have anything else to say about YouTube fatigue or that crap?
Take breaks, everybody. Like people who work like regular jobs, they go on holiday, they don't work on weekends.
Oh man, I'm one of those people that like I found a way to make pretty much every single thing that I'm doing in my life as part of my work. And so it's like, I don't know. I literally, for the first 2 years of my channel, I literally just didn't play games. Like doing it full time, I just didn't play video games.
Yeah.
It was only until I was like, okay, I'll start a gaming channel that I was like, I can justify playing video games 1 day a week. Because it's like, oh, now I can have fun and be productive. And it's like I've literally just centered my entire life around it in the sense that like everybody I hang out with is somebody who's either like watching a movie with me, like going to see a movie in theaters, or is like a guest on one of my shows or something. And like every way I spend my time, it's like, oh, I visited my brother in Montreal, but I brought my camera so I could get footage for my music video. And it's like, even when I'm taking breaks, I'm getting things done. And it is stressful, and it is something that I would like to not do forever, but I enjoy being productive, and I enjoy getting things done.
That's one of the reasons I never wanted to do a gaming channel or something like that. Because, I don't know, do you feel that when you make everything part of your work, it stops being fun?
No.
Some of these things? No?
Well, I mean,
I feel like it would be for me. I mean, obviously we're different, but
I love doing streams. I love hanging out with people, It's just a way of hanging out, except just online. And so like there'll be considerations that I have to make in terms of like, I'll have to plan out which game we're playing next and have like consistent guests on the same games for the same episodes or whatever. But other than that, there are things that I'd be playing anyway, for the most part. There's only a couple things that I'm not playing because I'm doing my stream. So like I would love to play VR chat, but I'm terrified of getting stream sniped in that game and somebody just coming up to me with like a character made of goatsies, which people have done, and like getting my Twitch banned, because like that's a game you can't stream because you can't control whether or not someone will show up with content that can get you banned for showing it.
Yeah. And that's what makes that game great.
So that's something that is a hindrance, I guess. I haven't played VR chat because I only play games when I stream.
I have. Talk about literal cancer. VR chat is the definition of cancer. That's my review of that.
I could go on forever about all the shit I'm working on, but I think we should probably talk about The Dark Knight Rises.
Let's talk about a movie.
Yeah.
That's right.
We all...
So, Alex.
Sure.
Last episode, you were like, Dark Knight Rises sucks. And I'm like, I don't remember that sucking as bad as it did. So we all rewatched it so we can discuss it with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I mean, you're kind of right, you're kind of wrong. So, who wants to start with this?
Alex, start.
God, I can't actually remember what I said last episode. I wouldn't say it's like a dreadful film. There are things to respect about it and like about it, but I was very positive on that film. Back in memory, when did it come out? 2012.
I believe so.
There are too many plot elements that I just find like laughably stupid. And weird things I wouldn't expect from a Chris Nolan film that stand out to me. Like I remember the editing being really all over the place. The music I thought was really weak as well, than how it was used. Yeah, we can go into that.
Did you think? Well, I like Bane's track, the chanting.
I guess that's awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. But then when you think about like it's used effectively in the opening plane scene, but then that final confrontation between Bane and Batman is just so. God, it's just so wrong to me.
I love that
in terms
scene.
of how to craft like a set piece.
It was very goofy, and especially in comparison with the rest of the tone.
If I take off this mask, will you die? It would be extremely painful. You're a big guy.
Yeah.
Are you?
I'm glad we're having this discussion because I feel like The Dark Knight Rises was a very like controversial movie when it came out. I think there was a lot of fanboys defending it, a lot of fanboys fighting against it. So
the dust
it's good
is settled,
that the dust is settled and we're able to look back on it and just judge it as a movie. And I think it's pretty good. I agree with a lot of the things you said. I think the dialogue is pretty bad. I think a lot of the writing is pretty bad. But in terms of like a spectacle summer movie, it still succeeds in a lot of ways, I think.
Sort of. My problem with it is it has this real vibe as if like Chris Nolan really didn't want to make it. That's the real takeaway I got from it. Like it was like, I want to go be making like original shit like Interstellar and you know, but he was logged on to another one of these.
Yeah, well, when he wanted to make Inception, he said like, I'll do Dark Knight Rises, but I got to make Inception first. And so yeah, I can see why Dark Knight Rises feels that way. And also, how are you going to top The Dark Knight? I don't think you can. So I think Chris Nolan's, like the way he thought of it, I think, is he went the other route where he says, I think I'm just going to make a dumb spectacle movie. And that's how I see The Dark Knight Rises, as a dumb spectacle movie. And I think in terms of spectacle, it's pretty fucking fantastic. The stuff he's able to do in these action scenes is really cool. The amount of extras he's able to get.
Really? You liked the action scenes?
I did. Yeah, I thought the fight between him and Bane was great. I think the opening plane scene is fantastic.
The opening plane scene is like the peak in terms of the action, I thought.
It peaked again when Bane fought Batman. I think that was a great fight.
The opening plane scene was the peak of 4chan.
Why is that?
Yeah.
You don't know Bane posting?
No,
whatever.
I don't. I don't know Bane posting. I'm out of the loop, apparently.
That's funny. There was a point in time where the film and TV discussion board on 4chan literally just turned into people reciting the lines from that opening scene and just basically making fun of it, spamming every post on the website for probably, I don't know, 6 months around the film's release of just like, if I take off that mask, will you die? It would be extremely painful. You're a big guy. Will you? And it's just, I don't know. It's hilarious to me. I love Bane posting.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the dialogue, like I said, it's not a well-written script. I agree with you there, Alex.
Audio mixing for Bane's
the worst ever.
Shit.
You
so
had a
bad.
problem with that? I thought it was okay.
Some of the worst audio
It's like
mixing I've ever heard
laughably-
in my entire life.
Yeah, it is
Really?
that dreadful. Yeah.
Oh.
On my surround sound, it sounded goofy.
What was your issue with it?
No, every time Bane spoke, it sounded like Brock Baker was doing his impression on like a YouTube set, you know?
Yeah. Okay.
Basically, what happened is the test audiences for the film, when they released the
I remember
initial
that.
opening scene in the original trailer, were like, I don't understand him. So they redubbed all of his lines and made it super loud. And it's like, he's not even a character in the film anymore. He's like the narrator. He's not even in the environment. Like, everybody else's voice is
so
normal,
distracting.
and his is basically coming from like the rear speakers.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's
I like
so
that.
I hate it. I hate
And
it.
it
Like,
gave him this presence. He was
mask
so much
that he
fucking
has
louder than
isn't
everybody
supposed
else.
to be a megaphone.
How do you know that? It could have been.
I'm pretty sure it's not
It's a
supposed
half gas
to be
mask,
a
half
megaphone.
megaphone. It could have been both. You don't know. Batman has all this sophisticated technology. You don't think Bane can find a megaphone, half like gas mask thing?
Yeah, I don't think that's how it works.
You think Batman would be able to get a voice changer too? The amount of jokes that have been made about Batman's voice, and I still don't understand why they chose to keep his voice that way and not give him some voice changer over the course of the 3
it's
movies.
goofy as hell.
It is goofy as hell. Every time he talked, it was fucking goofy.
I
When
don't
him
know.
and Bane were fighting like in broad
don't hate
daylight
it.
at the end, that was goofy too. I think Batman should stay basically in the dark. I think whenever
You mean
he
where
comes out,
all the cops in the city and all the robbers in the city run at each other as if it's like World War One?
well, they didn't
Okay.
have any guns left, right? So what else were they supposed to do? I was okay with that. It was just, and then Batman goes
it's
up
like-
to Bane and he has like this awful line of dialogue. I forgot what he said. He's like,
I came here to beat you.
"Yeah," he's like, "No, I came here to stop you." It's like that's the best fucking thing you could come up with.
It's
Really?
very strange because like the Dark Knight is a very thought out sort of understanding of what Batman represents as a character, the sort of quiet detective. And then you go to
Right.
this, and it's the complete opposite. And nearly every scene with Batman is like, why would Batman do that? He's like the stealthy, works in the shadows guy, but no, he's running at Bane in a huge like army scene. It just feels so wrong.
No, that was okay with that because that's Bruce Wayne's character at that point. He was like this crippled old man, I guess, at that point, and he was trying to like relive the glory days. As I saw it, he was a little too confident, and he thought he could beat Bane easily because he's Batman, and he gets his ass handed to him. And I think that's kind of the arc he has.
I mean the
know?
scene at the end where he just fights him in the middle of the city in broad daylight around a bunch of people punching each other. It just that doesn't scream Batman to me.
Yeah,
you know?
that felt.
You think of him as more
phony, yeah.
intelligent. Because what is so strange about it is they build Bruce Wayne up as being this really fragile character at this point. He is properly defeated physically. So you would have thought for Batman to beat this physical force, he'd have to use his brains.
Yeah, I don't know how he got stronger than him.
Yeah, exactly. But instead of using his brains, he just punches harder, basically.
Yeah. And they never established he could train, like he trained harder either.
Breaking my back made me more powerful than ever. I think the biggest takeaway from this film for me is that it really feels like a rushed product, and I think I don't know if this has been confirmed, but I'm pretty sure that Christopher Nolan had intended to continue with the Joker as part of the story and had an entirely different script, and then Heath Ledger died, which I would have loved if we got more of the Joker in this film, and that was the end of the trilogy.
That's what everyone wanted.
Yeah, and it's very unfortunate because, like, I can understand why they wouldn't have just replaced him as an actor like they did with Maggie Gyllenhaal and Katie Holmes or whatever.
Because you can't replace Heath Ledger. You can't.
Exactly.
So
nobody gave a shit when it was Maggie Gyllenhaal all of a sudden. I was like, okay, yeah. And nobody
Katie
cared.
Holmes before, who cares?
Exactly.
No.
But if you replaced Heath Ledger, it's like, yeah, you can't. Like, that would be so not just disrespectful, but like you wouldn't be able to top it. It would just be a wasted effort. Cough, cough, Jared Leto, cough, cough.
Yeah.
I don't know how much of the plot was changed, but it feels like it was just completely gutted after that point. Like, who knows? Perhaps let's make some conspiracy theories or something. Perhaps Christopher Nolan was just like, fuck it, and then, you know, other people jumped in and wrote this script for him, and he was like, okay, fine. Like, I don't know. Like, it really just feels like a rushed, thrown together product that wasn't thought out at all.
You can tell.
Yeah.
I don't feel that his heart wasn't in it. It's just in the writing phase, maybe his heart wasn't in it. Because how is he supposed to top The Dark Knight? And I just think he chose to make a dumb superhero movie instead.
Well,
works.
Just because you make The Dark Knight doesn't mean that you should rush a product out and throw it together and just.
I'm not saying rush. I'm
but...
saying he went a whole new direction where he said, "I'm just gonna make a fucking epic Gotham story with all these different characters and all these different moving pieces, and it's gonna be 3 hours long." And there's a lot of cool things in this movie that I think are risky that he did that I commend him for, like how dark it is and how violent it is, and how Batman in the Batman suit is barely in it, and it's mainly about Bruce Wayne overcoming his personal demons and learning to stop half-assing being Batman and to be Batman again, you know? I liked all that stuff.
The way you're describing it makes it sound like the issue with the film was that they went a new direction and not that it was just thrown together and rushed. Like, you could still
I think the issue with the film is that it has a stupid script. I think they went a different direction and the script was stupid, but there's still a lot of things I liked within that, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's just me.
Dude.
Dude.
Every element of it, when you take it on its own, is like quite weak.
Yeah.
Not every.
The action isn't that great. It peaks right.
I totally disagree with you.
I don't like.
You think the Bane fight in the middle? You think the Bane fight in the middle is bad?
I do. During that scene, I was like, wow, this is kind of like the fight choreography was kind of embarrassing. Honestly, it was really clunky.
You think so?
It was super clunky.
I liked. It was brute.
Even just like watching it without altering the footage at all, just like watching it normally, I was like, wow, Bane swung over top of Batman's head, but they added a sound effect of punching anyway. Like, that was weird. You know, it was a really clunky, kind of not great fight scene. Like Bane.
The sound design was a little over dramatic.
Not just that, but like okay, he like does this kicking motion, and Batman does a flip over the little bridge thing, lands perfectly on as though he like jumped and intended to do that. Like, he lands perfectly. Meanwhile, Bane takes like a whole 5 seconds to get down, like climb down the chain, and Batman has the opportunity to do something at this moment if he wanted to like attack him while he was coming down, but he doesn't, and it presents itself as just like, oh, Batman was just like chilling there for the entire time that Bane was climbing down there. We didn't show him, so we just have to imagine like, oh yeah,
I think that was
got
the
bored
point.
for a little bit.
Bruce Wayne hadn't fought in like 8 years at that point. He had that busted up leg, and he was just overconfident because he's like, oh, I'm Batman. Who the fuck is this guy? Bane? Who gives a shit? I'll kick his ass. And he lost.
I don't think it communicated it in that way, but...
All right. For me, that worked. But
I thought that
that's your
seems like
opinion.
okay, but as far as okay, if we give you that one in the plane scene, like
Okay.
what else is there in terms of like spectacle action, which is what you're calling out as being good?
Not just action spectacle. I think the spectacle of the story itself, that you're watching a city being
But to get to it,
infiltrated by
it's-
this terrorist organization, even though it's stupid, sure.
To get to it, though,
it's
what
cool.
they have to do is so stupid, though.
Well,
With the cop,
they
every
infil-
cop in the city going underground.
Yeah, literally
that was dumb.
3,000 police officers. They said, Flush him out.
Totally, I agree with you there. But there is some cool stuff. Like first, what's the name? The League of Shadows. They had to like infiltrate rich people within Gotham and get their money to finance certain things. And then from there, they took over the military part of it, and they militarized their soldiers, and then they broke everyone out of prison. Like the whole process of taking over the city and bringing it to anarchy was really interesting to watch.
Though. That
yeah,
is interesting,
so
but they
I
don't
enjoyed
develop it.
watching all that stuff.
But they don't develop that at all. There's a huge time jump.
I think
that
they
skips
do.
out all of that development.
"Yeah, you're
I
right."
think
It would have been interesting
when
to see
they take
that.
over,
but
it just skips.
they spent
Yeah.
a lot of time with throwing in as many characters as possible and kind of, abandoning being able to develop the core elements that make the story interesting. Like when you have so many characters that you're throwing in, like I want to have Catwoman, I want to have Robin, I want to have Marion Cotillard, like I want to have all these different this an ensemble of random characters that we've thrown in, and Bane too. It's like that was the issue with Spider-Man 3. That was the issue with the Amazing Spider-Man 2. Like when you have too many ideas that you're trying to do at once and you're trying to execute them all at the same time, you don't have enough opportunity to develop them in the way that they
and
should
Robin
be.
as well.
Yeah, exactly. And like a
That's-
lot of
that's
these
where I agree
characters
with
that
you.
they threw in were just useless and stupid. I didn't like Catwoman. I didn't like Robin. I didn't like Marion Cotillard's character. Like they all just felt unnecessary. And it's just like even Bane I didn't like, but I was okay
No,
with it
Bane-
because he's
Bane
the
I
central
liked.
villain.
Bane I liked.
I don't like Bane, but like
I think Bane is
I was
a great
okay
villain.
with it. If it were developed more, if we got like the core of what the story was trying to be, or the core of what made the story interesting, and it was just developed more, that would have been great. But instead, they just waste a bunch of time on shit that I don't care about.
I agree with you that this movie has way too many characters and it's bloated with all that shit. But let's talk about Bane for a second, because I think Bane is a good villain. I think Bane is the perfect villain for like this chapter in Batman, where he's physically capable of defeating Batman and also really smart, and he has all these resources where he could totally kick Batman's ass. And the fact that Batman had to overcome that was cool. I think Bane is a fucking scary villain.
What's his superpower?
I hate how he beats him though.
The way he beats him is so stupid. But what'd
Yeah,
you
it
say,
completely
Adam?
defeats the point.
What's his superpower?
He's just a strong man.
He's a strong, smart fucking
He's
guy.
basically a ninja,
That's
isn't
all. Yeah,
He was-
and that's
he
what
was in the
Batman
League of
is.
Shadows.
Yeah,
He's a better version of Batman, basically in every way, and he's fucking pure evil. He's like, there is not an ounce of like sympathy with him. He's just a fucking dick, and that was.
But Batman
it
never
was
beats him.
Cool. No, Batman, yeah, because at that point in the movie, Marion Cotillard is the main threat, which was stupid, and then Anne Hathaway just shoots Bane. That was fucking dumb. I agree with you
Such
there.
an anticlimactic death.
Why
Yeah.
did she hate him? Like, why was she the
Oh,
villain
that was-
all of a sudden?
yeah.
Like, that was so weird.
She said, like, I hated my father, but then you killed my father, and so now I hate you.
Gotham's not really that cool. I think we should kill it.
Yeah.
Stab.
Her motivation made no sense. If they had like, she had a really strong connection to her father, maybe that would work. But they established that she doesn't at all. So I don't understand what that was. And her death too, when she's like, "You will never
Dreadful.
save Gotham." Oh. It's like
Yeah.
out of a cartoon.
Yeah, it was kind of lame. Can we talk like so I'm trying to understand like the mechanics of everything that was set up in order for the plot to happen here. They basically Bane had he has a bunch of followers that are eager to die for him at any moment. And this has all just been happening underground with nobody noticing. He has hired a bunch of construction workers to mix cement and explosives together. And is the idea is that like what for the past I don't know, year, like the city has just been unknowingly using concrete laced with explosives and thinking that it was just normal concrete. Is that like the
I think that's the conceit.
And the construction plans of the city just so happened to perfectly line up with the areas that he wanted to explode to trap the police officers. And like,
Sure.
does that imply that they just renovated like underneath the football stadium, like underneath the entire grass of the stadium? Like there was some massive cement-based construction going on. Is that a new stadium? Did that stadium not exist before? Like,
well, maybe they also placed explosives on top of it, so it was like
the
half
ground
controlled demolition and then half the cement mixed with the explosives. You know, there was like a mix of different explosives.
It's a very, very impossibly intricate plan to kind of pull off, is the way I feel about it.
Okay.
It doesn't make that much sense.
No, okay.
It's like did all the bridges were using that cement? Like, did those bridges all get renovated in the past year? We're not even really given a timeline.
They put controlled explosives on there.
How did they get? I mean, they've just They just brought a bunch of explosives to the bridges. I guess because the police were distracted. Because they're all idiots.
They were all underground.
Adam, you've thought about this way more than Chris Nolan did. So
yeah.
I just want to know, like, the football stadium was a cool shot. You know, we got a cool shot with the football scene, but like, when did they put the explosives underneath the stadium? Like, is there only a small layer beneath the floor of the ground of the stadium and like, I guess, a gigantic open area in the sewers below?
Maybe. I don't know. That's not interesting. So, like, if that was in the movie, how they managed to do that, which I guess you could come up with some explanation, it wouldn't make the movie any better. For me, it would just make it longer. I think the main issue with the movie is that it's just bloated with too many characters and a lot of bad dialogue.
Of course. That's my biggest issue.
Yeah, and I think there's a 2-hour movie in there that's good. And I like some of the characters he introduced, like Catwoman. I don't like what he did with Robin. I think that was stupid, especially the fact that he made his last name Robin. Like, what the fuck is that? Like, where that's stupid.
He knows who Batman is because he, like, felt it.
Yeah, that was so dumb, too. I knew the face.
As well. Did you remember that really weird bit at the end where he's talking to Commissioner Gordon and he's like, putting the jacket on a kid, I'm Batman, I'm Bruce Wayne.
Oh my god, that was fucking
just say
corny,
that you're Bruce Wayne.
Yeah,
such an elaborate, like, flowery way of phrasing that.
There's so many
and then, as if it
things.
wasn't obvious enough, Commissioner Gordon's like, "Oh my god, it's Bruce Wayne." Duh, fucking for the dumb audience.
I know that there's some sort of lore to go along with this that I guess I'm just not that familiar with. But like, what exactly was that like prison where all the dudes were that they were trying to like climb out of? What was that?
It's out of some pit.
Like where? Not
prisoners.
not just where, but
they explain it in the movie.
What kind of prisoners? Like, is Bane's prisoners? Like, he just. This isn't like a governmentally run thing,
there, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think it's just people in that area.
Like, where? What is that? Where is that? Like, what is that thing? It's just in a foreign country somewhere, and that's what we understand about it.
I guess it's more about what it represents more than the geographic relevance of it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I like that whole thing, especially the parallels with him rising from the well from Batman Begins.
It's a prison, but they give you a rope to escape?
Yeah, because most people don't escape. It's like impossible almost. So it gives them this little ray of hope that they'll never realize. So, you know, it's torturous for them, which makes the prison even worse.
There's
that
like
was awesome.
Children born in that prison. Like, why are people there?
I don't know.
Nobody
You're
knows.
overthinking these things.
That's what I do. I wanna know these things. You know, I'm interested.
You should Google it. There's probably some info on it.
Maybe, probably.
Maybe. Did you guys like? Did you like Michael Caine in the movie? How every scene he was in, he just cried.
He was
That's
just
all
disappointed.
he was in the movie for. He was just always sad.
Because they probably realized the film had no heart, and it's like, oh shit, we've got to have someone crying. It's the end of a trilogy.
I have failed.
Michael Caine.
But can't we have one scene with Michael Caine where he's not fucking crying?
I failed you, Master Wayne.
There was
hardly a
literally
character in the
not one
movie.
scene. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a few
Anything
things in
else?
the. Well, I mean, I've just got a list of like nitpicky things that I find funny.
All right, go
Like,
through your nitpicky things.
I love that when he walks into the football stadium, there's a conveniently passed out referee that has a microphone that he's wearing that's already plugged into the overhead system, like the intercoms that like nobody had to switch over, and he's just like picks it up off the conveniently passed out referee. Not just conveniently passed out, but like convenient that he wasn't swallowed into the pit that exploded.
All right.
Like, oh yeah, I'm just walking past him. Hey, I have a microphone now. Like, what were you planning on doing if he wasn't there? Like, you could have brought your own microphone if you were planning this shit. I don't know. If you, I don't know.
But none of these things make it a worse movie.
I don't know. It's
that
just
doesn't
it's kind of
affect the
funny.
Yeah, I'm
quality
okay
of
with
the
that kind of thing.
I love
Yeah,
how
it's not okay.
when he has the doctor and he's like, I'm gonna show everybody that this doctor is the only person that can disarm this massive explosive. I'm gonna show everybody that he's dead. But instead of shooting him, he like snaps his neck. It's like if you're gonna try to convince to the world like that this person is dead and you know you're trying to make an example or scare them, you'd probably want to shoot them, not snap their
No.
neck.
That was even cooler. Are you
Well,
kidding? He snapped
I
his
mean,
fucking
'cause it
neck
looks
on live
fake.
television.
It looks
like
fake.
that's
Yeah,
how
I like the neck snap.
don't
I
know.
love that. That's Bane would totally not use a gun. He just fucking uses his bare hands to kill people. That's great. We totally disagree on how awesome Bane is. Bane for me is one of the best parts of the movie.
Bane's laughable to me. He's such a goofy character. Yeah.
He's pure evil. I find that kind
But
of
he's not
scary.
though. They show he's got like a sympathetic side at the end, don't they?
With his like
Because he's protecting
daughter,
Talia or whatever,
yeah, not
right?
his real daughter. Yeah, but okay, he's got a soft spot for a little.
Then he
girl.
gets shot.
Then he gets shot by Catwoman. But that's his one sympathetic trait.
Did anybody enjoy the street barricades that were just ramps?
Oh yeah.
That was pretty funny. That they implemented those and spent tax dollars on those when they're just ramps.
I guess.
That
You can
chase
just drive
scene
over them.
After the stock market thing.
I
is
like that
dreadful.
chase scene.
No, it's
Really?
I thought it was appalling. Yeah, I thought it was really
You
badly
thought it was
edited.
appalling?
No, I'm serious. Like they're driving away, right? And then it suddenly cuts to nighttime out of nowhere, and then
They were in
the
that
music
tunnel
from...
for a while.
No, it was the middle of the day, and then it's like...
Okay, listen. I've heard this complaint so many times. They're leaving the Wall Street Exchange. It's like sunset. They go in that tunnel for like 20 minutes and they come out, and okay, it's like pitch black night, which is a little silly. But it wasn't so distracting to where I was like, okay, what the fuck? You know?
Okay, well, there's a really bad scene where Batman first comes in, right, and they play that iconic bit of music from The Dark Knight. Cool, whatever. Except none of it is earned. It's very clumsy in its execution.
Yeah.
And he pulls out this weird like electric gun thing that they don't really explain, and then it gets shot, and then it cuts to a policeman. It's supposed to be funny.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
just very confusing, but weirdly structured, like a whole action set piece.
I think that the music itself was great, but the way that they used it was very like manipulative.
Exactly, yeah.
Like it didn't
Yeah.
earn itself being used in any situation. It was like I was just watching it thinking, wow, this scene would be really fucking lame if there wasn't music right now. Like there wasn't anything
exactly.
to justify the music
It's
in the
cheap.
scene. Yeah.
It's like at the end where he's flying away with the bomb, they just replay the music from The Dark Knight from that really
that
tense,
was
brilliant
corny.
scene
Yeah.
from The Dark Knight. But it's like, let's recapture that magic by just using the music, because it's just the music that made it work, so let's just plop it in.
Speaking of recapturing the magic from The Dark Knight, do you think that the original title wasn't going to be The Dark Knight Rises, but The
Yeah.
Dark Knight was so
Yeah.
successful that they were like,
That's
no, we
cheeky.
have to have The Dark Knight in the title. So everybody
Yeah,
knows
that-
it's
that
The
was
Dark
bad.
Knight.
100%.
Yeah, that's what I feel anyway.
100% I agree.
Think about what is actually developed in the 2 hours and 44 minutes that this film is made up of.
I know.
Sure. I agree with you guys. Again, it's bloated, but I think there's a good 2 hours in there, and there's a 44 minutes of bullshit, but there's a good 2 hours in there with
But
stuff
every
I
good
like.
thing has something that weighs it down. Like you say, Bane is an interesting character, what he represents, and I'm with you with that. But then his conclusion is weak. It never really builds to anything.
Sure.
The actual summit of their fight is terrible in its execution, and then you go to Batman and his whole arc again. It's just tied in with Bane's one, and then you go to Catwoman. It's like, well, ultimately she doesn't really represent much, and she could be taken out.
She
of the
doesn't
film
matter
and not much
at
will
all.
change. Yeah, exactly.
she
and
really
then,
was
and then you
just
go to
thrown
Robin,
in.
and a similar thing.
Should have been Halle Berry.
I mean, her character's arc fit within the world where she wanted anarchy, and then Gotham turns into anarchy, and she realizes that when everything has no structure, it's a bad thing, right? Everything she wanted was...
But why is that necessary in the movie about...
Right, it's not necessary, but it does fit in.
I don't think it does fit, man.
I think it does fit. It's
unnecessary.
just... Yeah, you are right when literally, in terms of the actual plot, she serves no function at all. She just has her own fucking thing going on. And I like her character, and I think Anne Hathaway's pretty good. It's just, she didn't really need to be in it.
She didn't need to be in it. And I guess to relate to what you were saying earlier, when you say, like, there was a great 2-hour movie in there, but 44 minutes of bullshit or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I agree, kind of, but I also kind of disagree in the sense that, like, yeah, there was some great stuff that was developed, but it wasn't developed enough. Like, I would have much rather had the same length of a film, but having the core 2 hours or however long the core of the film is. I would have rather had that extra 44 minutes being spent on developing the rest of that. I felt like what we got was underdeveloped, so I can't even call it great just by taking out the unnecessary characters and unnecessary elements of the film.
Mm-hmm. Sure, I can agree with that things weren't developed as much as I would have liked, but they were developed enough to where I found it entertaining and interesting. Mm-hmm. And the movie, it always, I don't think it was boring. Like, it always had me. It would lose me at certain times, but then the next scene after would be something cool or, you know, a set piece that I liked. And I forgot about what I didn't like about it. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's a great movie. I don't think it's nearly as good as I thought it was when I first saw it, but I still like it. I hear your complaints. I understand what you guys are saying. I got you.
Yeah.
When you really break it down, there isn't really that much I even like about it. Like, if you don't like the story, you don't like any of the characters, you don't like any of the action, and all you like is, like, vague plot ideas on paper that in execution aren't really fulfilled in any meaningful way to me. I mean, what is left? There's just nothing. Absolutely nothing.
For you, that's fair. I thought it was interesting enough, and it was mainly bogged down by bad dialogue and characters and a bunch of bullshit.
Mm-hmm. I just like the scene where the man punches his back better.
But then in, like, the scene after, fun. He's on the rope and he falls down, like, 10 meters and it doesn't hurt his back. Whatever. I
don't know why they don't just, like, get rid of the slack. I don't know where the other end of the rope is attached to. You know, if they just like pulled on the other end of the rope and gave them some slack, then, or got rid of the slack, then that wouldn't happen. I guess it's, like, attached to an area higher up, but then that would imply that same piece of rope has been there for, like, 50 years.
I mean,
right?
A guy comes every once in a while and
like changes out the rope for them.
Yeah,
like Bane shows up and rappels down and like.
Mm-hmm. I mean, well, someone has to come too to give them food. Someone has to come to bring them food and water and change out the rope. Yeah, there's like a maintenance guy.
I love how Bane apparently paid this man a lot of money to keep Batman alive, but it's like, what good is your money down there? Like, why do you care that you're super fucking rich when you're like living in this pit? I was like, you paid me a lot of money to keep you alive. Like, what? What are you gonna do with it?
That's a great point.
I don't know.
I mean,
just that pit is confusing to me. I don't fully understand it.
It was supposed to represent Batman Rising. Okay,
I get it.
The Dark Knight Rising. You're overthinking it. It's a stupid comic book movie.
Okay.
Do you guys think this film gets a pass because Nolan directed it?
I think this movie's judged more harshly because Nolan directed it.
No.
Really?
You don't think so?
No.
It's one of the highest rated films on IMDb.
Yeah. Let's look it up in the fucking top 250. See where it's standing right now, because that's very useful information.
I feel like the reaction to it is very extreme. I think a lot of people just either love or hate this movie.
All right, we got 1.3 million ratings, 8.4 on IMDb. It's the 67th highest rated film on IMDb.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
When you said that this was
did not know
controversial,
that.
I didn't even really agree with you there. I think most people really love it, although it's considered the worst
in my
of
circle,
the three. It's considered the
in my
worst by
circle,
everybody.
it's controversial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think people still
mean,
love it.
I mean, good for them. I think those people are just comic book fans who like it no matter what. Some of them. I mean, but no, then the DC movies would do well in the ratings.
Yeah.
So,
True.
I don't know. All I can speak for is myself. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
Rewatching it now. It's no Dark Knight. What is? But
Yeah.
I enjoyed myself. It was okay.
Yeah, I give it a very generous 6 out of 10. I kind of want to give it a 5, but what brings it up for me is even though the music is used a little improperly, I still think the music is great.
Mm-hmm.
There are some select scenes where I'm able to feel like some legitimate feel legitimately exhilarated watching parts of it, I guess. And overall, I do appreciate, the usage of practical effects. It's like relatively well shot for the most part, but there's just so much at its core that is just broken that I wish it could have been something more,
Mm-hmm. I agree with you there. It could have been something more.
Yeah, it's a very wasted opportunity for me.
You tried to go big.
Yeah, that's the perfect way to
You
phrase
tried to go big,
this movie.
and it failed spectacularly, pretty much in every way. Like, in my eyes at this point, I will admit, I wasn't bored. I was just sat there thinking, "Wow, this is dumb. I expect more out of this." And it was right after rewatching The Dark Knight as well, because I was thinking maybe I'll see things in that film that maybe won't hold up, but that film's still great. And you can tell so much like passion and thought went into structuring that film. And then you go to this, and it's like, wow. If Nolan's name wasn't on this, you could just like,
Yeah,
you could really just like pass it off as any old superhero garbage, like, and not even.
Wow, I don't think that.
You did say it was a stupid superhero blockbuster, and The Dark Knight wasn't.
I
that.
think
it was
think
above it.
it's a shame that it's going to be compared. I mean, it has The Dark Knight in its title. How can you not compare it to The Dark Knight?
And the same director, the same writers. It's just it
Yeah,
seems like a
but
different team to me, with the same actors.
But The Dark Knight is such a great, intelligent crime thriller. It's like you can't do that again, especially when Heath Ledger's gone. So I commend them for taking the route of making a sillier Gotham story more so than just about Batman, where it's this whole cast of characters. And there's some characters I like. I think there's some fun action. I think there's ideas they explore in it, like the whole system falling apart in Gotham, just, chaos, which I found interesting. But yeah, I agree with a lot of what you guys said. I'm going to give the same rating as Adam, with a 3 out of 5, a 6 out of 10.
yeah.
I'd give it a 2 out of 5.
Wow. I don't think
Nice.
it's garbage. I don't think it's like, I don't know, what are some of the worst superhero movies, like the Amazing Spider-Man movies, or that
The
kind
Amazing
of shit. I don't
Spider-Man
think it's
2
on that
is
level.
great.
I wouldn't say it's
so
on that level
funny.
either, because that film's really
No.
funny.
Yeah,
That
that one's like
fucking
a
awful.
golden film for me. I could watch that a million times.
Yeah, same. I find it so hilarious.
Do you think Electro's a better villain than Bane?
No,
He lied to me.
he
shot
hates
at
me.
Oh,
Yeah, what the
please.
hates a me? What is
He's a
that?
me, Mario.
It's a me, I'm Mario. All right, well,
Yahoo!
that's Dark Knight Rises.
There it is.
I guess
6 years later.
I guess we should move on to our other film discussion. We talked about
Yeah.
that for a while. Jeez, yeah. Somebody recommended a movie last episode, and we're going to talk about it and spoil the whole thing. So watch it if you haven't already, so you're not spoiled for this movie. What is this movie, and what is it
Yes,
about?
So I chose a film from 1990 called Jacob's Ladder. I don't really know why I picked it. I was just trying to find something at least Adam hadn't seen recently and Ralph had never seen. But it's a sort of drama, mystery, horror sort of movie about a Vietnam War veteran, and there's a whole mystery that he has to solve because he's seeing all these strange sort of hallucinations, or you don't really know what's going on for most of it. And I mean, where can we go without just going straight into the whole plot here?
Yeah,
Yeah.
do it.
Did we like it, first of all?
Overall, yeah.
I liked it a
Yeah.
lot.
It's ambitious in what it's going for. I think it was probably ahead of its time a little bit.
Yeah.
It's hard to put yourself into the headspace of like 1990 based on everything we have now and all the like horror techniques available to us and how fresh it would have been at the time and how impressive it would have been. There's still a lot of things in there which I thought were really impressive and ambitious. But
Yeah. I think some of it's lost to just... It felt a little dated, some of it. I
Yeah.
still
In
like
ways.
it, but I think it's a standard execution for a movie made in 1990, right? And I think like the music was a little dated, and I don't know, there's some cliche things that are cliche now that probably weren't cliche at the time that took me out of it. But I think at its core, like you're saying, Alex, it's a really complex and emotional movie, and I really liked it a lot.
There's a lot to like about it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I think that a lot of it is really well executed, and there's some parts where I kind of find it laughable at the same time. Like there's some parts that are a little difficult to take seriously.
Yeah.
I love how, when he's like very slowly walking over the train tracks, I'm just like, come on, what are you doing? We all know what's going to happen right now. Stop it. Like there's some cheeseball moments for sure.
The first 15 minutes are pretty weak. Like that whole action scene in Vietnam, and it's like doing those really quick zoom-ins that look like they're out of The Office or something. I'm like, what the fuck is this? This is
I do
really
like
bad.
the opening scene though. I kind of like the opening scene. I do find it kind of like horrific in its own way. Just I like the confusion going on.
I think they were trying to go
scene.
for confusion, but it just felt comical to me with the zooms and the.
Yeah.
I think the music. I don't remember the music, but I remember noting the music was bad.
It's the zooming
that
that does it
part.
more than anything in that scene.
Yeah,
it's
it
very
really was.
like did not
It's a
work.
comedy zoom. It was a comedy zoom. It was ridiculous.
Arrested Development or something.
Yeah. I like that conceptually it's at this point in time it's considered one of the staples of like a trippy I don't know what's happening kind of movie, like the characters uncertain of their own reality and you're left guessing like what is the real world, what is happening sort of thing. Like people are always referencing this movie in regards to that kind of concept, even though it has been done multiple times since then. And I'm willing to assume that there are movies that have done similar things before this point at the same time. Just this is one of the more successful versions of that, I guess. And it is
I think it actually
relatively
bombed when it
well
came
pulled off in the same time. Did it bomb when it came out?
I think so, yeah. I was reading the trivia and there was an interview with Tim Robbins saying that he thought it bombed because of something to do with the political climate at the time.
Oh, yeah.
'Cause it was about Vietnam and there was some other war going on when it came out.
Oh, yeah. Distributors were like scared of it or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to know without like going into the history books for this one.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that.
It does seem to be like a source for inspiration in many ways. I don't know if you guys noticed like the hospital scene and how similar that was to Silent Hill.
Mm-hmm.
Silent Hill has included many references to Jacob's Ladder in the first 3 games that they made that are pretty blatant, and they're not hiding the fact that they were inspired by this film, which I find kind of cool.
Oh, okay. Well, I'd never played it. You're talking about the games, right? Not the movies.
Yeah.
The Silent Hill movies.
Yeah, I am talking about the games.
The Silent Hill games. Okay. Yeah, I had no idea, but
You should play them.
So pretty. I should. You know what? I'll write that down right now. I'll play the Silent Hill games.
2 and 3 are awesome, but avoid the HD collection because they ruined it.
Okay.
You got to play
How'd
like
they
the
ruin
original
it?
ones. Well,
Should I
there's
watch the movies?
You should. There's a very thorough series from a channel called Twin Perfect on how much they destroyed the original games in the HD collection. Like the information's everywhere, but there's like an hour or 2 hour long video series from Twin Perfect detailing it. And don't get put off by the low like to dislike ratio on the video, because for some reason they were absolute idiots and were like, we need to tell Konami how much you dislike the HD collection, so leave a thumbs down on this video. I'm like, that makes no sense. That makes no sense
at all.
It's like, yeah, because
it
like
makes it look like people don't support what you're saying, right?
And also, like, some people are
idiots.
maybe won't watch up until that point, and they'll leave a like because they liked what they saw, and it's like you're not going to have like a full. You know, you're just making it less accessible, and people aren't going to find it as easily. Like, that's stupid, but whatever. It's a really good video. Like, it's a really good breakdown. They get very thorough and detailed, and I would recommend that review. Anyway,
how much did you know about this movie before watching it, Adam?
Oh, well, I watched it once when I was like probably 15 or something.
Okay.
So I'd seen it before, but I hadn't seen it in a long time. I kind of feel similarly to how I watched it back then. It's like what's kind of funny about this is when I watched it recently, I watched it with my roommate, and he pretty much had the same story of like, oh yeah, I watched it when I was younger, but now that I've given it enough time, now I can probably appreciate it more. And there's things to appreciate it for sure, and there's things that stand out that as an adult I'm like, okay, I can appreciate that in terms of like filmmaking, presentation, etc. But at the same time, despite liking it overall, it is in some ways a little underwhelming, and I can see why it didn't click with me so much when I was younger. It's because it's not amazing.
Mm-hmm. Hey, that's fair.
Yeah.
I knew nothing about the movie going into it, so at first I was like, okay, it's like a war drama, whatever. And once the psychological horror elements of it started coming in, that's when I really started to not fall in love with it, but I definitely got way more engaged in it. I think there's a lot of really disturbing imagery and horrific shit in this movie that's actually very effective, and that's hard to do. So I commend this movie 100% for actually making me feel that way.
Some of them are very effective. Like the chiropractor doing his neck got me.
Oh yeah,
I thought that was great.
Just like, it wasn't like horrific. It was just like a gross. Just that probably fucking hurts.
Yeah,
uncomfortable. Yeah.
Some of the symbolism was a little over the top.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
Too hot
I love how he just flat out says,
"Oh, the
like,
chiropractor's
you're like an angel."
Yeah,
And
it's
then-
like I got it.
And I love how they repeat the line of like, sometimes you have people that lead you to heaven. The angel will walk you up the stairs or whatever, and then it just shows it. Like they kind of, I don't know. Some of it felt a really
apparently it's
not subtle.
Apparently it's toned down as well.
Oh really?
Like originally it was going to be even more on the notes with that kind of stuff. So
Oh,
I'm
yeah?
glad it wasn't.
Oh, that wouldn't have been good.
No, yeah.
I mean, I think the movie's a little on the nose and a little cheesy, but not so much to where people wouldn't have different interpretations of it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I think it's enough, it's vague enough to where everyone has their own thing they took away from it. I totally saw it as a metaphor for PTSD, but that's just me.
Yeah, it can be.
I bet other people
way.
will have different interpretations of it. The whole he actually died at the end, and then it's him going to heaven, and the whole movie was like him processing his life or something. That could have been it. He was in like purgatory.
Yeah, that's what it kind of feels like. That ending shot kind of implies that.
No, but that could be all a metaphor too, because how I saw it was the PTSD, and I saw that thing as like how indifferent the United States military was to the suffering of veterans, where they would suffer with PTSD and all this shit, and they would usually die from drugs or something else, and then they would go, whatever, fuck him, move on to the next guy.
Yeah, you served your purpose.
Right, you served your purpose, and we really don't give that much of a fuck, which is what happened a lot. So,
oops.
there's definitely, or it's literally what they said, where they released some weird biochemical weapon onto the soldiers that made them hallucinate.
Who knows?
You know, maybe that's it. Yeah, who knows? And I like that confusion of it, because there's a point where you don't know what's real anymore, and it doesn't really matter, because you're just watching this poor fucking guy just struggle through it all, you know?
Yeah, I do like that it's kind of open-ended, and I do like that there's room for interpretation. I just, I don't know. It does feel kind of repetitive at points. I really don't like his wife, that the new wife. I really don't like her.
Oh. Really?
yeah.
I thought you felt that way about it?
The
I thought they had
character, not like
chemistry.
the actor or anything.
Oh, okay.
She was
She's
so
like a
mean.
main character.
Yeah.
Yeah. She was nasty.
Right? I thought they
You're
were...
going crazy. I'm gonna leave you.
Yeah.
Because all right, this might be a weird theory, but there was a point where I started noticing she was acting weird, and I thought she was like an informant sent by the United States military or whatever, like one of those spies that kidnaps him. I was thinking that, so I'm like, maybe that's why she's acting like a bitch and acting all weird. Because if you notice too, the lawyer calls the house like later on in the movie, and she picks it up, and then she's the one who tells him that the lawyer dropped out of the case. So I'm thinking like, oh, maybe she's in on it, right? That and which adds a whole other fucking layer to it. I feel like this is a movie I gotta watch a few times before I fully get it. You know, I think it's an interesting puzzle. I like movies like that.
Mm-hmm. I feel like the most or the biggest example of the film being dated is the character design of the main character. Because he looks like such a fucking dork at this point.
Yeah, he does.
But in 1990, you could like pull that off and not look like a huge dork. You know?
Yeah, he just looked like the.
Well.
Why does everybody want to fuck him? He's a dork.
Yeah, he has like the Vietnam jacket. I wrote a list of like cliche things that happen or like dated things. Slow motion flashbacks like that aren't shot in slow motion, like they speed them up or no, they slow them down in like post, you know?
Yeah.
So it kind of looks like shit. They have like the melodramatic piano. They have the dramatic like heartbeat sound effect. It's like dun dun in the background. It's like ugh, that's a little cheesy. They have the helicopter propeller spinning in slow motion. So many war movies do that. And he's like being carried up. I don't know. There's stuff like that really took me out of it. But overall, it's pretty good.
Did you notice how the chiropractor was the guy from Do the Right Thing that owns the pizza shop?
Yeah. Sal's Pizzeria.
And did you notice George Costanza?
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
Who's George Who's...
Seinfeld guy?
I don't know. Hold on.
George Costanza?
What's his name?
I forget his real name.
No one knows.
Oh,
his real
that
name.
guy.
He's just
Okay,
George.
okay.
Yeah.
He'll always be the character, unfortunately.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Jason
Macaulay
Alexander.
Culkin was a pretty funny addition to the film as well.
Yeah.
Just seeing his picture.
I enjoyed seeing him. That was a nice surprise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not as dense and substantive as
No.
as it's kind of made out to be in terms of the overall cultural perception of this film. Like it's held up there. You know, it's a title that people recognize and people consider to be a huge classic, but it still feels kind of lacking to me. Like it doesn't have
For sure.
enough to make me consider it as such. And I'll probably never watch it again. I'm glad I watched it again.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of just like, oh yeah, I remember what it is now, and I'm like kind of done with it.
Really? I'm actually interested to see it again. I think there's more in there than I think you're giving it credit for. There's also the whole element where like Americans like watching movies about Vietnam and exploring that topic. You know?
Yeah.
It's just how much of a clusterfuck it was in a variety of different ways. And I think this is one of the better movies I've seen having to deal with PTSD from that time, you know? I think it captures really well what PTSD must be like, where it's just confusing and you don't know what's real and you don't know what's fake anymore. You don't know where you are or what's going on.
Demons try to fuck your girlfriend and you scream.
Right. Demons try to fuck your girlfriend. I think you could interpret it in different ways. So
Oh, of course.
I think that's why it's been, you know, championed for so long as
Yeah.
this important film, an important movie about Vietnam.
I can really see how someone could get a lot more out of it than I did.
That's fair.
That's what I was hoping for when
Yeah.
I recommend it again, because I watched it when I was much younger too. And I thought, I must have just missed a bunch.
Yeah.
But no.
Because it's really held up on a pedestal.
Yeah, it is. That's how I heard about it. It was on some film show or something. They were talking about it, and so, that sounds right up my alley. And there is loads to appreciate about it. I do like it a lot, especially the whole sort of psychological aspect. I really liked how subtle I guess they are demons or creatures or whatever you want to call them. I like that they weren't. Cause they weren't so overt that they could be laughable. Because imagine if they showed these like goofy looking creatures like puppets sort of wiggling on the screen. That could have been a bit too much and ruined the whole vibe of the film. I thought it was just enough, teased just enough, that kind of thing. I liked the inspiration from sort of classic bits of art, H.R. Geiger in there. The whole head shaking thing.
That was really creepy. That was so well done.
That was really effective.
They filmed it at like 4 frames per second or something.
Yeah, 4 frames and sped it up to 24, and it is really effective. That's the kind of thing that I was really attaching myself to in terms of like the presentation, showing me something I haven't seen before, or
cool concepts.
Set trends. Yeah. Aside from that, though, there wasn't that much else really to cling on to.
Yeah.
I thought the main drive of the movie is kind of the mystery aspect, I suppose, and it remains interesting the whole time, and then it's kind of revealed at the end, but there isn't really that gut punch you're sort of hoping for.
Yeah, it does kind of just end, doesn't it?
Yeah, I was just imagining like a director with more of a vision or flair or style, maybe.
M. Night.
Maybe not M. Night, but for some reason I was really wishing for someone like what's the Mr. Robot guy, Ralph? What's he called?
Oh, Sam Esmail.
Yeah. I would really like to see something like this, some material like this kind of close, intimate story told with that kind of presentation. I think that would be extremely effective, way more than what this film ended up being.
Yeah, I agree with you there. But I think most of that's just due to the age of it, you know? Like,
exactly.
I don't hold that much against it.
Yeah.
Because
I don't either.
it's just a movie from 1990, you know, and that's just how they made movies at that time. So
but it's
can't
like
get too worked
there
up
are
about
films like, just look at like, I don't know, 2001. You know.
Oh yeah, well if you're gonna pick out like
great.
Fucking masterpieces like that are literally
that's what
timeless.
I mean. I feel like buried within this there could be something that impactful.
Yeah,
but it's not.
I agree with you. If it had been executed by, I don't know, some auteur who understood that and understood how to make something timeless, then this could have been a fucking masterpiece. But as it stands, because of that, like execution, it deflates it a lot, and I totally agree with that.
I feel like this is something that I probably wouldn't want to see a direct remake of, but I would like to see newer ideas or newer films that explore the same kind of concept or same kind of tone and filmmaking style. Like, I would love to see something like this that is just as like confusing and really captures what this film is going for, but with a more, I guess, polished presentation and perhaps more to chew on in terms of like overall arcs or overall characters, I guess, or give me something more to chew on in terms of the story.
Well, apparently we're getting a remake next year, so.
Oh, really?
It's on IMDb listed there with the director and writers, so.
Jacob's Ladder, 2019.
You know what I'd recommend for you, Adam? That's like that? Mr. Robot, like Alex said.
Yeah.
Season 2, Mr. Robot. Now that you brought it up, Alex, actually a lot in common.
Do you know what I mean?
You can tell they took a lot from Jacob's Ladder, a lot of inspiration from it.
But improved it in like every way.
Yeah, improved it and in ways made it funnier, like sometimes, and made it scarier at other times. Right. Yeah.
I could give it another chance sometime.
Yeah. Special show. It's ending next year.
Good.
Season 4. That's it. Good. So Adam never has to hear about it again. You only got another year, Adam.
Right. I don't know.
Okay.
Fine.
It was fine.
So, what would you guys give this film out of 10?
What would we?
I was feeling a 3 out of 5. Solid overall. Had some weird things about it. One weird thing I have to mention is how I found it weirdly funny how Tim Robbins is so ridiculously tall and his girlfriend or wife was like 5'1", and there's that shot where she's like looking vertically up and he's looking right down. It's like, is this intentional? Because like you didn't have to do that, but that's irrelevant. Yeah, it was right. I enjoyed it. I appreciate the minds it perhaps inspired and the things that spawned because of it more than what I actually like about the movie itself. I'd still recommend watching it at least once, especially if you're a fan of sort of psychological horror and interesting, subtle ways of sneaking in scares and delivering a sort of mysterious plot like this. I think there's a lot of good in there. That's sort of it, really.
Nice. I liked it a lot. I want to see it a few more times. I have a feeling my rating might go down or up, depending.
Yeah.
You know, if I see it a few more times. But I really liked it. I think the execution's strong. I think there's some things about it that are dated. I agree with Adam that the middle kind of sags a bit and it gets a little repetitive. But I mean, it's a really ambitious, weird movie, and for the most part, it's effective. I give it like a 4 out of 5.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah. I give it a 6 out of 10.
Nice.
It was pretty good, but
pretty good.
Nice.
Still, I was yearning for more at the same time.
That's fair. Yeah.
I guess we should move on to questions. Yeah,
I guess so.
Damn straight.
Question number 1. Alex, you had him.
No. Question number 1, then read the question.
No. Okay, I thought you were gonna read it.
No, if you want to ask us questions, go to the Sardonicast
Humero numero
subreddit,
uno.
Sardonicast subreddit also.
Yeah, make sure you leave some for us to answer. We got one here from Domion Chilado, who says, can a comedy be a 10 out of 10 just on laughs and enjoyment, or does it need more? I posted this one in the questions thread for episode 14, but I'm all the more curious how you three quantify this given the discussion around Punch Drunk Love being enjoyable but not life-changing, to paraphrase Life, and I think Ralph, and I think Alex.
That's a big question. Can you...
yeah.
So
can a comedy be a 10 out of 10 just on laughs and enjoyment is the main question there.
It depends what your rating system is, really. I mean, if I were to talk about my own personal rating system, like 10, I wouldn't give something a 10 out of 10 if it didn't have anything to offer other than my own personal enjoyment. You know, I can say that I could call it my favorite movie, even. I could say that I love this movie more than anything else in the world, but I probably wouldn't give it a 10 out of 10, but that's just because of how I rate things. I like to include aspects of the filmmaking craft in there as well, things that I think are actually well done, not just my own emotional reaction.
Yeah, I'm with Adam, totally. Like, I can say Shaolin Soccer is a 5 out of 5 movie for me because I think it's fucking hilarious, one of the most entertaining movies I've ever seen. But I cannot rate it as like one of the greatest movies of all time. Like, I can't say it's up there with 2001 or anything like that. Like, objectively speaking, I can't say that. So it just depends how you rate things, I guess. Although it's very hard for me usually to rate a movie a 10 out of 10 if it's just entertaining. It has to be like mega entertaining to reach that level. But like an Adam Sandler comedy or something like that, or like... I guess it's a bad example. What's like a good mainstream comedy? Like Office Space. Does that have to be good? Yeah, like Office Space.
Depends what
really
you mean by
movie.
mainstream, I guess.
Yeah,
like Monty Python and the Holy Grail. That's mainstream, right?
Yeah, but that's a great movie. I'm trying to think, like Horrible Bosses or some shit like that. You know, like
21 Jump Street.
I could never read 21 Jump Street. Right, like that's a really funny movie, but I could never give that a 10 out of 10. Even though it's really funny. I mean, it did everything it had to do, but at the end of the day, I won't remember it 10 years from now. You know?
I guess it's the same with like any film. You can't boil it down into one thing. Like we were just saying with The Dark Knight Rises, even if you do like some of the action scenes, it still has like other elements to it. And if the other things are holding it down, like I keep thinking about, everyone loves the Will Ferrell comedies. I'm always harping on about them, Step Brothers and whatnot. People find them hilarious, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I find my bigger problems with them, more than the man-child humor, is how technically boring they are. Just in terms of the filmmaking, So that's where I come down on it.
It just depends on how much the elements resonate with you. Yeah. Certain elements resonate. You
can value different aspects of filmmaking. Some people are, completely oblivious to shot composition, and all they want out of a film is just a funny comedian saying funny jokes that resonate with them, right? Where like if you're watching a comedy, that's what a lot of people want, is just that, which is why Judd Apatow is successful. He doesn't really bring anything to the filmmaking aspect of the movie. It's just shot, reverse shot, and there's funny people in it,
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
How is that relating to Punch Drunk Love, though? The second part of the question?
Because Ralph and I, when we were talking about that film, were saying how, as much as we liked the film, we couldn't give it above sort of a certain score, because it didn't have that extra layer, I guess, that we were looking for. The only thing I contest with that is I don't think Punch Drunk Love is just trying to be a comedy. It has way more going on than fucking Step Brothers or something that's trying to sell itself as a comedy. Yeah,
it's trying to be more than just that. And with the Paul Thomas Anderson directing it, you expect a bit more, And I think it was aiming to be more than just a fun romantic comedy.
Yeah.
And it nails some elements, absolutely. But if it wanted to be great, I think it had to do something a little extra. And I don't know what that little extra thing is, but once you see it, you know it. You know, right. And that's what separates like Scott Pilgrim versus The World. For me, that movie's hilarious and well made, like Punch Drunk Love. But it's got that X factor where you're like, this is fucking interesting. What is this? I've never seen anything like this in my life.
Yeah.
So.
I've got a pretty interesting question here from Godspeedy You Barry. Good name. What are your guys' opinion on watching movies while under the influence of a mind-altering substance? Do you guys believe some movies are more enjoyable while high or drunk, or should not be watched while sober in order to fully appreciate?
Absolutely. Everyone should watch movies on drugs all the time. It's a great experience. Obviously, don't do it all the time. Don't do it the first time you watch a movie, but it's fucking great.
It's a good way to get something else out of it. Yeah, you can see
it is.
Other things about it.
Hey, sometimes you get certain things out of it that you never noticed the first time.
Yeah, I mean, drugs like marijuana will, encourage your brain to think in ways that you normally wouldn't if you were sober. So there's some aspects that might stick out to you more about it, or you might think of certain things in a different way, or you might just be high and you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. But, I get comments every once in a while of people saying things like, Rampage is a movie that I could only watch high.
Which like is fair.
There's people that just plan to smoke a big bowl and then go to the theater and watch a shitty movie because they want to see it high. I find enjoyment out of watching bad movies when I'm sober, though. So, I mean, I don't need
there's enjoyment in everything. Like, I watched Chips sober the first time and I fucking hated it. And then for the review, I recorded myself watching it drunk. And I got, it's a different experience. It's great. You don't think there's some movies that are, like, made to be watched on drugs?
I guess, kind of.
Like Fantastic Planet?
That's probably a good one, actually.
Yeah,
I was thinking more of the Seth Rogen stoner comedies. Isn't that the only reason they exist?
Oh, yeah. I haven't watched those high. I usually like watching weird art films under the influence of that kind of stuff. But, I mean, that's just me.
Yeah, I usually don't go into films with the, I guess, goal of being intoxicated before I watch them. If I'm having like a party or something and like it's a movie watching party, then I'll be like, yeah, I want to get like I'll choose movies that are good for watching when you're drunk because it's a party also. You know?
Yeah. Well, I'm not saying I watch movies drunk alone. I'm not like an alcoholic, but like if I'm with people and it's a fun social environment and I'm like, let's put on Rampage and get fucking plastered.
Yeah.
I think that's a great thing to do.
Yeah. It's all about, you know, what your personal experiences or your personal preferences are. And, you know, every drug that exists affects different people differently. Everybody has a different brain, you know, so, you know, do whatever you want as long as you're not harming other people and as long as you're careful and trying not to harm yourself.
Don't do meth or anything like that either. That shit's dangerous. Weed is okay. I don't know. Is LSD okay? I don't think so. LSD's probably dangerous. I'm not an expert in LSD.
Well,
I don't know.
We could have a longer discussion about this if you really want. Because I have a lot of opinions on a lot of drugs, but I don't think...
We'll save that for its own special episode.
It might just be a little long-winded if we do that. So
okay.
Yeah.
That's fair. All right. So I highly recommend it.
Yeah, maybe if you're a critic for the New York Times, don't go in high as fuck if you're like going to analyze a film.
Well, I think that's okay as long as you say that you did it. If you want to write your review and be like, I was high,
I guess.
As long as you're honest about it, just don't pretend that you weren't.
Yeah.
I feel like you should at least do both, though. That's what I'd do. Get in with both perspectives. Not just the high one.
Yeah. Yeah, I watched Iron Man 3 drunk out of my mind. It was pretty funny.
Did you like it?
It was funny.
Okay.
I found it humorous.
What does Drunk Adam give Iron Man 3?
5 or 6.
Don't worry about being 5 or 6. Wow, and that's on fucking alcohol. Wow.
Well, I mean, it's a Marvel movie. They're all like relatively the same.
Okay, that's fair.
All of them are around that area for me. So
even Black Panther.
I gave Black Panther a 5. Yeah.
Gosh.
Okay. It deserves a 9 or a 10. It's getting Oscar consideration. Watch, it'll win Best Picture. They're really campaigning for that. Did you guys see everyone on social media complaining about fucking Black Panther?
No.
Why would you complain about fucking a Black Panther?
Well, there's a whole other reason for that, but like Marvel is saying they don't. Well, they invented this Oscar category, right? The best popular movie or whatever.
The Black Panther Award.
And now Marvel and all the Marvel people are like, we don't need like the second place trophy. We're gonna consider Black Panther for, you know, we're gonna try to push it to get Best Picture. And it's like, who cares? Who cares about this fucking movie? And who cares about this dumb award show?
I don't think anybody's expecting that it'll win Best Picture, and if it does, that would be the funniest thing on the planet. But they are pushing for it to get a nomination, which is funny because they're going to get a nomination anyway. There's 10 movies that get nominated. Of course they're going to nominate Black Panther. It doesn't matter what Disney and Marvel do. They're going to get nominated. Why not? That's why there's 10 spots. So you can throw in movies that are popular that people like, that you know aren't going to win, but you can pretend, you know?
I don't think it was going to get an Oscar nom. I think it will now.
Of course it's going to get a nomination.
Now it will, because Oscars gave in a little bit.
nomination.
No, I don't think they were. That's why they invented that Best Popular Movie category, so that Black Panther could get nominated for that.
Well, that's so it
and
can
they could
actually
have their
win
own
an
award
Oscar.
thing. Yeah. You think so?
Why
so
not?
you think they were going to nominate it for Best Popular Movie and Best Picture? I don't think that was going to happen.
They probably would nominate
Really?
it for some, you know, like Best Effects or some shit.
No. Well, yeah, Best Effects.
It'll get a
they
Best
would,
Picture nomination. I'm pretty confident about that.
I don't know. Well, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
We can make a bet now.
Oh, yeah?
$20.
Delete your channel if you lose.
But too late for that. I already deleted it.
All right, next question.
Pastor_James69696969 says, when you buy movies, do you prefer to buy them on DVD, digital, Blu-ray, or 4K, and why?
I'm a collector kind of person, and for things that I love, I like to have the best possible way of watching it. I don't go out of my way for like box sets unless it's something that I like adore, like I really love. But if I want to own something and it's available on 4K Blu-ray, hell yeah, because that usually comes with a regular Blu-ray anyway. So I'll only buy things digitally, like on iTunes, if, let's say, I don't care about it enough and I just want to watch it and have the convenience to watch it right away, or if it's not available in HD on any other platform. So like a movie like James White is only on DVD but not Blu-ray, so I got it on iTunes because it's 720p there.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah, I'm with you. I try to get the best possible like quality. Usually 4K Blu-ray. If they don't have the 4K Blu-ray, I just get the Blu-ray. I hate owning things digitally because you always lose track of it, and you got to remember fucking account names and passwords, and it's not worth it.
Really?
Yeah.
I like having a shelf of just movies, and I pick from it. I know what I have. It's all organized by genre. I just pick out what I want.
I love how you always say genre, as if you're saying the name John. Genre.
Yeah, his last name's Ruh. John Ruh.
John Ruh.
Hey, John Ruh.
What about you, Alex?
I always try and go for digital myself because I don't like things taking up space. I try and get it on iTunes, although I'm finding it annoying at the moment because of the weird way 4K movies are being released. Like anything by Disney, they won't release in 4K on iTunes. Release here. Really annoying. So you have to buy it physically, which is way more expensive here and takes up space. And it's like noisy when it plays in the player. First world problems, but you know, iTunes, convenience.
The 4K is not that big a deal for me anyway. It's hardly noticeable on most televisions.
Really? You reckon?
Yeah, I do. Well, if you got I got one really nice 4K TV, but if I'm not watching it on that, then I honestly can't tell the difference between the 4Ks and the... I mean, I still think 4K is important, and, you know, you should be recording on the highest resolution you possibly can. But in terms of watching a movie, 1080p will do.
I got like a 4K projector, though, so it's like a big screen.
Oh, nice.
I've got the BenQ, is it W1070 or what was it? I don't know. It's the new like 4K from BenQ. 1070 was the older model, I think. I think this is the 1700. Yeah, W1700 is what it is. And I'm really happy with it.
That's that sounds awesome. One day I'm going to get a 4K projector. One day.
But you have to just have a blank wall or something, or like a sheet you pull down.
You can get a screen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like I don't know. I have the space for it. I have like a big like theater room basically that I've gotten set up. Just unfortunately, the more things you have in your setup, like all this like audio equipment and HDMI switchers and shit, like the more things you add to it, the more things that can go wrong. So, so like it's been a long and painful process just getting it to work properly, but I think that it's fine now. But I'm happy with it.
That's an awesome idea. I'd forgotten about projectors for some reason.
Oh yeah, that new model that I got is like a really affordable 4K 3D projector compared to what existed before it.
Oh,
yeah.
What's the... I mean, you can send it to me later, actually. Because I want to make, like, a nice home theater.
Yeah. I think it's the W1700 from BenQ.
Yeah, because I want to make, like, a home theater, a nice home theater. It's one of my dreams, but I can't do it right now. I don't even have my own place right now. So, okay. I got that. Next question?
We got a pretty deep question here from Fabio Wants to Die, who says, memes aside, do you think the Shrek films are good? This is an important one. Where do we land on the Shrek films? Have we all seen every Shrek film? Yeah?
Yeah.
I haven't seen Shrek the Halls.
Oh, yeah, I haven't seen that one. Oh, yeah.
Have you seen Shrek 4D?
Is that a movie?
Yeah, man. Actually, no, I haven't seen that one.
It's the one that's in Universal Studios.
Oh,
but they also released it on DVD. Like, you can just watch it, but they also have it in Universal Studios.
There's a Shrek Forever After. Is that the fourth one?
Yeah, that's the fourth one.
That's the actual fourth one, yeah.
Are we counting Puss in Boots as well?
I didn't see Puss in Boots.
Leave Puss in Boots out.
Okay.
I saw the last one I saw was Shrek the
ones.
Third, and I didn't like that one very much. I did like the first two from memory, and also from playing the first one on Beat Saber recently.
Yeah, that whole
Yeah,
fucking
I think
video.
Shrek 2 is like one of the better sequels that exists out there for like animated films.
Yeah, Shrek 2 is pretty good.
Yeah.
I rewatched Shrek 1 like a few months ago.
Yeah.
It's very dated. The music, the pop music, the early 2000s fucking it's ridiculous, but I mean, it was okay.
It's what it tries to be. You know, it's a successful it ushered in an era of kids movies with adult enough jokes that adults aren't completely bored watching them. You can bring your kids to the movie and you're not sitting through it and being tortured the entire time. And I think that's
it also
cool.
started the trend of dance numbers at the end of movies as well.
I don't think
End
so.
of animated movies.
I don't
think so.
You don't think that
That's-
happened before Shrek?
I don't
think
so.
it was the first.
With
but
like the
it-
pop music.
Yeah, Toy Story 2
like-
had it, didn't it?
It did?
I think there's tons of
the
movies
very
where they
end.
danced at
And
the
Toy
end.
Story 2. I want to say Toy Story 2 might be the first one.
Maybe. I don't know.
But anyway, the first Shrek.
Someone will let us know.
There is an underlying sort of clever thing about the original Shrek, I reckon, being like the parody of all the Disney movies.
It's a
It's
fuck
like
you
a
to
clever
Disney.
angle to go for.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The
I like
premise is
that
very
whole
clever.
angle. Yeah, it is extremely dated. I can just picture the Matrix jokes and
Oh yeah.
Donkey says like,
Smash Mouth.
it's cute, I guess. It's all right. And they gradually just get worse. Shrek 2, I remember being all right, but I haven't seen that one since it came out pretty much. Shrek 3 and 4, whatever.
3 is fucking awful from what I
3
remember.
is dreadful, yeah.
I remember it
Shrek's
being
the Justin
completely
Timberlake one.
uninspired and boring.
Yeah. Cash
And then
grab.
the fourth one I don't remember at all. I think Rapunzel, no, not what's his name? Rumpelstiltskin was in the fourth one, right?
Yeah, he sends Shrek into an alternate universe, and Fiona's
What?
like
I don't
really
remember.
tough.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember that?
I-
Fiona's
now I
tough,
re-
and there's like all these Shreks in the woods or whatever.
Uh-huh. Oh my god.
All I remember
Yeah.
is they had like babies or something, and it was really annoying.
Holy shit, dude. You're bringing back like these horrible memories. I feel like I'm in Jacob's Ladder. Seeing like
Donkey
fucking
Dragon
visions.
babies.
Do you have PTSD
Oh,
from
yeah.
Shrek? Shrek the
Yeah,
Third
from
gave you
Shrek 3 and 4,
PTSD?
yeah. I see like Shrek's head fucking like spazzing out really fast, like in Jacob's Ladder.
Yeah, I could watch Shrek 2 again.
Is that
Yeah.
your recommendation?
That'd be great.
You said you wanted to do an animated movie.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, you know what? Yeah, that's a good adult animated movie.
Nah, nah. We need to bring it back. We need to do some.
Okay.
I got a bunch of Blu-rays of animated things. We're doing a recommendation now, by the way, for next episode. So if you want to join the discussion next episode, then watch this film before the next episode airs. I haven't exactly decided what film I want to recommend. Trying to whittle it down here. We've got
Flip a coin.
well, there's 5 of them.
Okay, go on wheelrandomizer.com.
Let's. It's so difficult for me. Okay, fuck it. We're doing a 2009 stop-motion animated film from France called A Town Called Panic, or Panique au Village.
Oh, I've seen
That's
it.
great. Yeah,
I've
I've
seen it.
too.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Well, I'll edit that
Redo.
out. I'll edit that out. I'll edit that out.
Great
and we'll
movie
pretend
though.
Like this was
no, don't edit it out. We'll just change it.
Well, no,
okay.
because then I don't want people to be disappointed that we're not discussing it. So I will edit it
Oh,
out.
yeah.
So I'll just.
You know
I'll
what? We'll
pretend
discuss both next week. How about that, everybody?
No. Well, I mean, we could if you really want. If you want, we could.
Yeah, we could. Why not? It's a good movie.
Okay.
Actually,
As long
there's
as
not
you
much
don't
to
feel
say
bad
about
about like me getting 2 picks at once, but yeah,
No,
I just didn't
whatever.
want
Whatever.
We could
Okay.
we could talk. There's not much to say about it, right? It's a funny movie.
I love it. But anyway, it's just one of those things that I like introducing to people.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. Okay. We'll mention it then. Next episode. But instead, I'll for the selection, I've got a 2009 stop motion animated film called Mary and Max from Australia,
Oh, great. Haven't
which
seen
you guys haven't seen.
Cool. Yeah, I haven't seen that.
There
one.
we go.
Great.
I wasn't sure.
Found one.
I didn't think A Town Called Panic was that popular. I thought that was kind of a hidden gem for most people.
No.
I knew of it for some reason.
Yeah. Well, it was on my 2009 list, so if either of you watched that, then maybe. But
That might have been my sort.
That's how I heard of it.
okay. Well, I think this one was also on my 2009 list, but this is an Australian film. It has Philip Seymour Hoffman in it. It's stop motion animated. Yeah, it's Philip Seymour Hoffman in a lot of very recommendable movies.
He's been in what, three
that we've recommended
so
far?
Yeah,
I don't
Punch
know.
Drunk Love, Happiness, this.
and then this one.
Yeah.
I think he's
Maybe
winning.
something else. I don't
Someone
know.
in the comments can figure out who's winning.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, yeah, we'll discuss this next episode. You don't have to look up much about it. I don't think there's much to spoil about it. It's more about the experience, but yeah, it's something that I think we'll have a good discussion on, and it's something that I think more people should see. So there you go. And I guess we might also discuss A Town Called Panic. But mostly Mary and Max.
Mm-hmm.
You got it.
Mostly.
All right.
Awesome pick.
We did it.
Thank you guys for listening to this episode of Sardonicast. If you would like to support the show, or also if you would like to be able to listen to these episodes early, you can head over to sardonicast.com and sign up. $2 a month gets you these episodes as soon as they're edited. So usually a few days before they're published publicly. You can also go to patreon.com/Sardonicast. That will do the exact same thing. Thank you very much. And any things you want to say before we say bye-bye?
Nope.
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 That's it. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Bye.
Bye.